I guess I'm easily bored. You know, I do performance, I do video, I do installation, I do more straight sculptural pieces, I do, you know, I'm now doing paintings. The name is Dred Scott. It obviously references the slave Dred Scott, who, when he was taken to the North, he said, "Wait a minute, yo, I'm free. They don't have slavery in the North. It's outlawed." The Supreme Court ruled that he was effectively property. He was a chair, and he couldn't bring the case to the court. I spell it differently than the historic figure. I spell it with an A, so it brings in the concept of dread, both in terms of fear, but also the dreadlock. I started out with a real strong base in photography. My dad was an amateur photographer. My parents got me a good 35mm camera, and I, you know, would take photographs when we would go on trips and at family gatherings. So this is my youth. This is a great Chicago band, Naked Ray Gun. This is Dead Kennedys, Nazi Punks, Fuck Off. This is a great band too, Articles of Faith. The drummer from this band kind of got me into communism, actually. I was an activist. I was a sort of a young communist trying to figure out how to make revolution. And I was an artist. I had this sort of surrealist, somewhat Ansel Adams inspired photography going on, and then I had this sort of activism going on. And how can I bring the two together? There's an artwork called What's the Proper Way to Display a U.S. Flag. I made it in 1988 in Chicago, where I was an undergrad student at the time. It became the center of national controversy. George Bush I publicly denounced the work. People were arrested for interacting with the work. I mean, a lot of my work is very, I don't know, some sense of cerebral. The project I'm working on right now I'm using imagery from the Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, and the Paris Commune to make paintings that talk about and create space for people to engage that 100-year period in human history where millions and millions of people said, let's radically change the world, and they went out and did it. I wanted to talk about, you know, past revolutions and the implications for now and the future. The intellectual discourse around that at best that was a utopian dream, and at worst a totalitarian disaster that should never be repeated, full stop, no need for investigation. It's, you know, it's intellectually, you know, flabby as hell, and I want to create space for people to engage this history in these times, and frankly to dream again. You know, so I've been looking at these images, I've been, you know, collecting an archive of them from all over, and, you know, it just sort of came out as painting. I mean, a lot of the project it focuses on the importance of the exchange of ideas to revolutionary transformation. So it's actually, they're paintings about ideas. I mean, the one thing that's constant is I spend too much time on the computer, even though that's essential for making the art, and I wish that I was spending more time actually making the art than answering emails or talking about making the art. As I said, I can't draw, so I sketch a lot. This is the next one, which is the Litsky Beat the Whites with the Red Wedge. In this, I mean, this is a toppled statue of Napoleon, which represents the past. And for a long time, I've been sort of saving and using stuff from newspapers. You know, there needs to be art that talks about the world we live in. I actually think it's really important for people to engage within the arts, you know, ideas about how society could be and is. But, you know, it's also important to, you know, without a permit, put up a sign that says "Danger, Police in Area" right on the location where somebody was killed by the police. The deeper and more unfortunate thing is that within the arts, there is a more general acceptance of the status quo than people would like to think that there actually is, in particular around treatment of black people in this country. Some of the things that I think about and my art has been concerned about, it's not the only thing, but there's, you know, looking at questions of police murder or looking at the history of lynching is not something which most people in the arts think is as important an issue as, say, a broader question of democracy. This is a country where 1 in 9 young black men are in prison. The project I did in Philly was great. I worked with youth for sort of 8 weeks, and it was, really great to be able to draw on their experience. The project was a project called Or Does It Explode? It's about the dreams and hopes of youth in a society that has no future for them. There's vibrant photographs of these youth that are life-size, that are in light boxes, and there's audio of them talking about their dreams and aspiration. And these are kids that are cast off, and they're having very complex ideas, but they're portrayed as these beautiful kids deserving a bright future, and yet they're in graves. Well, this is my park. This is Fort Greene Park. I let other people in New York and people use it, but it really is my park. It's got a history where Walt Whitman used to come here, and I think Richard Wright also used to write in the park, which is really cool. I go running in the park sometimes. It's not big enough to ride in, but you can run in it. And my main thing is like trying to change the world. That's what I'm about. And I generally do that through art, but people should get out and play soccer, or ride a bike, or knit, or something like that. Ironically, the more important the work I'm doing, the more I'm on kind of a deadline, the more important it is for me to spend some time on the bike. It's part of what makes you human, I think. And if you get too obsessed with only one thing, it's kind of a problem. I ended up in art sort of by accident. But the fact that people would come from the housing projects or from other places of society and wait in line for an hour to see my work, that was powerful. And that was something that I could say, yeah, I want to try and make work that connects with people this deeply for the rest of my life.